Welcome, all fellow wannabes. Welcome to the show. You are listening to the Wannabe Critic Podcast, and I am one of your hosts, Gabriel Fast. We're back on track with our regularly scheduled programming. We're bringing you a fat, nasty review this evening, and I do mean nasty. We're reviewing X-Men 3, The Last Stand. I feel like a freaking idiot because a few days ago I called it X-Men 3, X-Men United, but that's the wrong name. As usual, I am joined by my partners in crime, one Caleb Henley, one Mikey Collins, and one Rex Tucker. How are we feeling tonight, gentlemen?
Well, I was feeling good until it took you about 10 minutes to get an intro right for this podcast. And then you called it fat and nasty. And I just don't know if I want to be associated with anything called that.
I'm so sorry. I mean, don't you think X3, I mean, does it not warrant those adjectives? I mean, I thought we would be golden. I thought people would
it's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, and unless you're Mikey Collins, who seems to be a freaking X-Men 3 sympathizer. How are you feeling, Mikey?
I'm feeling fine.
He looks like a highlighter.
He really does, dude.
Really does.
You're glowing in the neon. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like you're about to go. You didn't even know, did you? Literally. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have the boys back in town. And then also one Rex Tucker, the co-host of The Midnight Run, which we did in fact just wrap up the final episode of today, and we'll be posting on December 12th. Rex, how are we feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good. That was a great episode we just did. So
it was a lot of fun. Lots of feels, lots of emotion. You know what I mean? It was bittersweet, a bittersweet ending to our first show on the Midnight Run. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. Well, as I said before, we have kind of a packed show, but before we get into the news, we have one little news thing we're going to mention, and before we get into our review, I want to know, guys, we haven't done like a catch up, for quite some time. So let's start with you, Caleb. What have you been up to?
Not much. Just been watching things for this. Started watching I've been watching New Girl with my wife, and that's about it. That's my life right now. So yeah.
Have you been playing it? I mean,
loves that show.
They really do. Yeah. It's a definite crowd pleaser for sure.
Is it really that good? I mean, everyone always goes on and on about how good New Girl is, and I just can't stand Zoe Deschanel. So
same.
Yeah. I like
it's very, it's an acquired taste.
I like her, but the show is meh.
Okay. All right. Well, I might have to give it a. She's just always like, my name's Zoe Deschanel, and I look into the camera, away from the camera. And it's like, oh my god, I'm always sound like, I'm Zoe Deschanel. You know what I mean?
You just wish you had bangs like her.
Oh my god.
You know what? You freaking called me on the carpet.
Those bangs.
If you just pay oh my god.
Imagine me with those bangs. Oh my god. That would be not good. And if I did this, I did that filter thing where, you try and look like if you're a girl, it like makes you look like a guy, and if you're a guy, it like shows you what you look like as a girl, you know what I mean? It's not a pretty sight. I just look like it's not good. That's all I can say. So there's that. Caleb, have you been playing? How's your PGA, career going? Are you still playing that, or have you switched to something else?
No, I've been playing a bit. I like that game a lot. It's just nice and relaxing. Sometimes, like while I'm watching football, if it's a game that I'm not super highly invested in, I'll have the game on my iPad next to me while I'm playing PGA, like on the TV, and it's the best. It's like the best use of my time. It feels
my
like
god,
really
he really clubbed that one, didn't he?
Yeah.
He knocked it right out of there.
I stopped listening to the audio of PGA a long time ago in favor of other things, but it's still good. It's fun.
I mean, whenever they recycle the same like 30 lines of dialogue, that's my biggest complaint with the game, honestly, is like just the recycled dialogue. But it's nice to hear you're still going strong.
Have that problem.
Yeah, it's nice to hear you're still going strong, though. I need to get back to it. I was thinking about that today whenever I was playing Destiny. Mikey, what have you been up to?
Not a whole lot, man. I mean, I'm just been getting some records that I probably shouldn't buy. And I actually just got a Rogue One OST record. That's pretty nice. I really like that soundtrack. And we just went camping. I'm still in like PC. Oh my gosh. Everybody told me to wait till Black Friday to try to build a PC. Do not do that ever. We went camping on Thanksgiving weekend, and I was like, okay, I got my cart full, got all my parts, got to the campsite, no service. It was Thursday. I was like, okay, we'll just go somewhere on Friday. Didn't end up getting anywhere on Friday that had service. Woke up Saturday. I was like, we got to go. So we went up to like a top of a mountain in our car, and I looked at my Amazon cart. Almost all of my parts were completely sold out. And I was like, ugh. So I filled my cart up with other stuff that I thought I could make work. And then I called Jason. I was like, will these work? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'm going to get them tomorrow. Looked back at my cart the next day, all gone again. I was like, what is going on? So yeah, that happened.
That's the saddest story I've ever heard in my entire life, actually.
Frustrating.
I'm sorry that happened. I wish you would join the PC Master Race. You know, it's funny.
Trying so hard.
It's funny that I got a PC before you did. Like,
yeah. Well, you went with the iBuyPower pre-builts are pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
that's something I wish I would do, but I really just want to build it personally. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm that type of person, but
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, and just so you guys know out there, the iBuyPower pre-builts are quality product. All right, it's not like I went to Best Buy and bought like the all-in-one thing. You know what I mean?
they're definitely one of the top tier pre-builts out there for sure.
Yeah. I like my PC. It's pretty stuff. Have you been playing any video games?
No, I've been kind of taking a breather from video games for the past couple weeks. I've mainly been listening to podcasts like GG Over Easy and I don't know have you guys ever heard of Rebel Force Radio?
I listened to them the other day after you recommended it to me.
It's like the #1 Star Wars podcast in the world. I've never heard of it till like a couple weeks ago. It's amazing. It's like they get like people from like actors and directors from Clone Wars, from the original movies, from the prequels. Like they know everybody and they're just podcasters. They've been podcasting for like 10 years, but they know everybody. They go to they go to Skywalker Ranch like regularly. They're invited to all the stuff. It's crazy.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Rebel Force Radio, I believe.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's just two old dudes, but they just been doing a podcast forever before it was kind of cool, and they got in on knowing everybody, and I think they've met like George Lucas, and like it's really cool.
It's kind of
There's
interesting.
an episode entitled "Baby Yoda Farts." That's cool.
Yeah, they're really chill. They kind of remind me of like Brandon from Age of Geek.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me if there was two of him talking to each other.
My God, that sounds awful. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
It's really good.
That's cool. Yeah, actually, I listened to the podcast, and what it is, it's actually the two announcers from the pod racing events. My God, there goes Skywalker coming around the corner. It's those two guys. That's who it is.
Is it really?
No, it's not. That's made up.
I was
that was
like,
a lie.
they've never mentioned that.
No. I got you. How'd you going? It's funny you mentioned records because I actually, I feel like we share the same love in terms of like just, collect. Like I feel like we're always texting each other about what records we got. I got a dope one the other day. Supergiant Games, like one of the best indie developers out there. Developers of Bastion, Transistor, Pyre, and Hades. They're coming up on their 10-year anniversary, or just had it recently. And what they did was they actually met at Abbey Road with like a full orchestra.
Really?
And reimagined all of like a ton of songs from their other games, like all of their games, like reimagined the songs and did them live. We'll do it live. They're pressing it on vinyl. So I got my hands on a special edition one, and each vinyl comes with a digital code. So that's the only way to get it.
Wow.
So I'm pretty excited for that one.
Zoe just got a Switch randomly the other day, and I didn't know, but I played the first two games I played were Transistor and Bastion.
You beat them both?
Like, I'm halfway through, I think, like both of them, because I have like half of my base done on Bastion, and then Transistor, I just played for like 3 hours because I immediately was sucked in.
Yeah,
it was
so good.
The music was, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, dude. I've been trying to freaking tell you for like.
Well, I didn't know, I have no reason to get this, but Zoe really wanted to Switch, and so she bought one, and I was like, give me that.
Yep, Bastion and Transistor both. Bingo, bango, bongo. Very nice. AC Doocy. Rex, what have you been up to?
I've been waiting to play those games once I get some time. I hear they're pretty amazing. But
Mhm.
anyways, I've just been, I don't know, doing a lot of stuff. I'm like learning tennis and I'm learning how to play piano. So I've been busy doing that.
Oh.
And then I just paid back my wife 1 million bells on Animal Crossings. So
I thought you were about to say dollars. I was like, good.
I was like,
Lord.
my lord, Rex is loaded. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
'Cause,
dude,
yeah,
a million
I-
bells, that's chump change. What do you
Man,
do?
that took you a while. That was a couple weeks ago. You were talking about that.
yeah, I mean, I don't play all the time, but
You better. It's a way of life. Freaking
Avid Animal
bells are
Crosser.
life. That's literally I'm gonna get that on a t-shirt. Bells are life. Well, was she rejoicing or like did she give you like a thump on the head because she was like, like give me my money? You're like, where's my money, man? Was it one of those type of things or like
no, she was like,
It's my money,
well, that's not all that was missing, because remember I deleted her data, so
Mm-hmm.
like that's not all that was missing.
It wasn't you per se.
you uploaded
Yeah.
you uploaded it to the cloud though now, right? Like you that
Yeah, I actually sold my Switch because I got her the Animal Crossings edition one,
Mhm.
and you have to call them to transfer your island over because they don't want people to have like more than one
power.
island on a Switch. They're really like uptight.
Yeah.
So you have to call Nintendo.
I really don't like Nintendo right now. I'm just gonna say that.
Why so?
I'm with you.
Did you hear what they did to their streamers? Like people who stream Animal Crossing?
Oh yeah, they buckled down more on their
Oh,
content.
they didn't buckle down. They made it to where you can't make money on it. They basically shut down all streamers from making money off of Animal Crossing. Did you
And
hear
the
about that?
whole Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That was
Like,
a big one.
They are hitting people. I don't know what they're thinking, but
I mean, it's
still
kind of
solid
been
games though.
it's been kind of an ongoing thing for a while where like I think there was like a program where you could partner with Nintendo,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's a guy would beat 'em ups like he was literally partnered with Nintendo, like he was part of their creator program. So, I think he could, and like literally if you go on his channel, it's literally just a giant Switch commercial, literally the entire time. So he recently just got removed from that program. And he's made
Really?
like he has millions and millions of views on Switch stuff, and like it was kind of crazy to me. So yeah, I think Nintendo has always kind of been that way though, like just in terms of very closed off. I think from even it just I think that it comes down to I think they're just really out of touch with the community, and they don't really care about like the community. So that
Which is weird.
yeah, it
It's
doesn't.
so weird.
It's dumb and it's stupid, but it doesn't surprise me because they've been like that for like a couple of decades at this point, which is frustrating. But
The
Yeah.
whole Smash thing is really sad. Like, there's like such a there's such a big scene of people that want to play competitive Smash, and Nintendo just does not care about supporting them at all.
well, I think to quote Nintendo too, the Slippy program, like it requires you to basically use an illegal version of the game, essentially. So I think that's kind of where the issue comes into play is like using.
Well, yes and no. Like, emulators have been around forever, and
Yeah.
they've been proven like legal in court. Like people that have copies of it can legally have an emulator and play the game. Like it's fine, but it's not just that. It's the tournament supporting, and it's all these other things. It's like a combination.
Yeah.
So
It just lots of questions arise, but
Too
what
many.
yeah, too many. What have you been playing? I mean, you said you were playing a game before you hopped on tonight, right?
oh yeah, I've just been playing Rocket League, of course. I like sprinkle that in every once in a while. I just always go back to that game. It's so fun.
I have yet to get like the itch to play it. Like I play it with Carter, and like Carter's like, oh my god, I'm like I gotta get good at this, and it's like, dude, I've played the game since it came out, like off and on, and I just have never gotten it, And it's like, oh, you got to put time into it. It's like I have tried. Like there's just no desire. It just doesn't click with me the same way that it clicks with other people.
Dude, yeah. I've never told Carter this, but like he's really into it, and I like that he's really into it, and that I love when people find a game that they can click with, like you said, and just be like, oh, this is it. It's always felt more like kind of like a Mario Party game where it's like you're supposed to play it with a couple people in your living room and just have like a good time. That's how I've always felt about that game. I've never felt like I need to get good at this,
Yeah, that's
I don't
how
know.
I feel too.
But I still respect the people that do, though, because
Sure, yeah.
a lot of the tricks that they do are insane.
Yeah, and I mean, just the amount of time it takes to like get to that level is crazy. But I don't know. There's too many other things that I want to play. But I feel like if you want to just like play a game and you're a competitive person, that might be the game for you because it's so competitive from what I hear. And but I don't know. I just don't get worked up about it. But Caleb, have you ever played Rocket League?
A little bit, just a few times. That's basically it. Yeah.
Can you two-tap the ball in the midair, Rex, and get your reset midair?
The reset?
Yeah.
No, that's pretty hard.
Carter's
I don't really
always telling me about his resets. I'm like, sweet.
Oh my god.
It's like that's like something people like spend hours and hours practicing, but it doesn't actually like win you games. So
yeah, I guess he's doing like tournaments and stuff, and he's doing it with several people down here, and they really enjoy it. But I don't know. I've never really gotten into it. I kind of want to, but at the same time, I don't. I don't know.
I mean, it's a competitive. I've always been into competitive video games, so
yeah,
I
same.
lean towards those. So I'll always have like a game that I'm like focusing on. Like it used to be like Dota 2. Sometimes it was Smash for a while. Just different games. I even did Street Fighter for a long time.
Can I ask who was your main in Smash? If you say Meta Knight, you're dead to me.
Which Smash? Like Ultimate?
Sure. Whichever one.
Oreo.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Always, yeah, very good stuff. All right, wrap up your sidebar. We're moving on.
Sorry.
Mikey will be like, why does water taste the way that it does? Like,
I'm trying to get to know Rex, I feel like I don't know this guy that much.
Well, call him up after the show. It'll be great. No, I'm just kidding.
Hit me up, dude.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, just as a reminder, you are in fact listening to the Wannabe Critic podcast. This is your one-stop, family-friendly-ish content shop. We try to bring, a wide variety of diversity. Things are going to be changing up. A little bit of housekeeping for you. In 2021, we've been kind of just like ripping out the content, like boom, 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 like sometimes multiple times in a week. And, I think for a long time, it was just to kind of prove that like we could be consistent. And it's like we could do a variety of different things. There was a lot of stuff we wanted to do. And that's not going to change. We're still going to be ripping out a lot of content, but we're going to be, scaling back in terms of how much you're getting in a month. Just because there's a lot to go around, and I'd like to kind of portion it out. I mean, it'd be a dream come true, right? If we could have, stuff pre-recorded and ready to go, and then we got 6 months worth of stuff in the bank ready to go, and there's no worries. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how it's been. I like to space out a little bit more. So this isn't concrete yet, but we're going to try and go for, just so you know, we're going to try for one Wannabe Critic episode per week, one Office in Review episode per month, one Nostalgia Trip episode per month, and one Midnight Run episode per month. So that way each week, you're probably going to be getting the main show with us each week. And, whenever we go through our movie reviews and talk about whatever topics, but then also you'll get to hear from the ladies over at Nostalgia Trip. You'll get to hear me and Rex talk about anime and geek out about that. And then you'll hear me and Hayden talk about The Office, which in season 3, I actually got my hands on, some uncut episodes of The Office that each episode has about 10 minutes of extra content added to it. So, stay tuned for that because that's going to be kind of fun to go through. It feels like I've already watched a few episodes and it feels like watching the show for the first time in a weird way. So I'm not repping any Pop Cult merch tonight, but you can go to popcultusa.com. You can go to the description to get, to go to the website. You can get 30% off your entire order if you use the code _wannabecritic. Also, tonight's episode is in fact sponsored by Raise Energy. I don't know if you can kind of see it. This is a koozie they sent me. I stay up a lot and do my thing, and I need a lot of energy to keep going. And Raise has become my energy drink of choice. So if you use my code _wannabecritic, you'll get 15% off your order there too. So, but enough about that. enough of the housekeeping, enough of the sponsorships. You go on, fine, stay, you've stayed your hour, that whole thing. We are going to run into just one little news article that I thought was worth mentioning, gentlemen, and then we'll get to our review for the evening. So news broke today that was kind of crazy, in my opinion. I mean, I kind of see it coming, and it has to do with, I kind of saw it coming, and it has to do with movie theaters and just the way we consume films and things like that. And I think at this point it was inevitable. We've been seeing a lot of movies coming to the streaming services even now from different studios, but today it was announced, and this write-up does in fact come from The Hollywood Reporter. Warner Brothers smashes box office windows and will send entire 2021 slate to HBO Max and theaters. So, movies are going to be released on HBO Max and in theaters. So this is what it has to say, and this comes from Pamela McClintock. It says, in an unprecedented announcement, the studio will send 17 films, including The Matrix 4, The Suicide Squad, and Dune, to its streaming service for 31 days, the same day they hit the theaters. Warner Brothers is plotting a sweeping response to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, which has shuttered movie theaters around the country. After announcing that Wonder Woman 1984 will go to HBO Max as well as theaters on December 25th, the studio has laid out a similar path for its 2021 slate amid uncertainty about when moviegoing will get back to normal. The studio announced Thursday day and date releases for its 17 film slate, which will hit HBO Max for a 1-month window that starts the same day they will be available in U.S. theaters. The studio's 2021 slate includes projects such as The Suicide Squad, The Matrix 4, Dune, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Space Jam: A New Legacy. Can't wait for that Space Jam. Other films include Little Things, Judas and the Black Messiah, Tom and Jerry, Mortal Kombat, Those Who Wish Me Dead, and a bunch of other movies that no one cares about, let's be real. The unprecedented movie is likely to catch theater owners off guard and upsets a model that has been in place for decades. Warner Brothers stresses that these are pandemic-only rules, but once something is broken, can you really put it back together again? This also raises serious concerns about the landscape of moviegoing in 2021. So there's more to the article there, but that's about all I wanted to read. Caleb, I want to throw it to you. What's your opinion on this move? And, what's your opinion on movie theaters in general, right now?
Well, I'm definitely going to have to get HBO Max. I think that's the first thing.
You can bum off of me.
First conclusion I come to off after that. But no, I think it stinks for the movie theaters. And this whole, pandemic and everything has been really, really tough on a lot of businesses. It definitely stinks. And, you kind of feel for, whether it's a franchise and the owners and the employees and all of that. Because I think, yeah, there's a good point there. Once you break a rule, no matter how long it's been in place, sometimes it's hard going back. I mean, think about in the early 2000s when the internet was going really into full swing and people were able to start buying things off the internet, retailers start shutting their doors, little by little. Over the next 20 years, and it's just one of those things that over time it takes its toll because there's a whole new innovative way to do things. I think that who knows with the pandemic how long it would have taken for us to get to a point where we were just all watching things in our homes anyways, even if there hadn't been a pandemic. But I definitely think the pandemic is accelerating things, and there is a certain nostalgia and thing about going to the movies and watching a movie in the theaters. But I almost wonder how much of that is actually tied into nostalgia. And after all of us have, had this experience of watching a movie in our home, especially if we're not having to pay $30 or $50 a pop to watch it in our home, I wonder how long it'll be before that nostalgia wears off and there's no reason for us to ever go to the theater again. And the problem is too, once one, production company or whatever starts doing this, I think only more are going to follow suit. It'll be interesting to see how this kind of works for the business models and how they can actually make money doing this type of thing. But Disney's already kind of set up for it. I mean, to be able to do this if they wanted to. And yeah, it's just going to be an interesting transition, but I definitely think it's going to change theater going and movie theaters for the foreseeable future. I think it's going to be a very different thing once it's all said and done.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like it does seem like a very economical approach, because they're going to charge you $20 to buy that movie to watch it. It's basically like pay-per-view. It's like, I mean, that's pretty much what you can do on pay-per-view now is if it's available on regular TV, you can literally pay the $10-15 to watch the movie. So yeah, Mikey, what's your take?
I'm on the same lines as Caleb, where I think it's going to change movie theaters for sure, especially if other companies follow suit, because I don't know the statistics on this, but I mean, how many people have a decent sound bar or a surround sound system in their home to where they can get pretty close to the same experience and like from the comfort of their own couch rather than having to pay $12 to see a movie and also $20 for snacks. I mean, I totally see where it might become just a nostalgic thing to where like kind of like drive-in movies, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I hope it doesn't, because I still enjoy going to the movies every once in a while, but I can totally see on like you get home late from work on one day and you're just like, oh man, I don't want to go to the movie theater. Oh, it's out on, I can just buy it on my TV. Awesome. Sweet. So I don't know. I think it probably will hurt the movie theater business, but I mean, that's just a way of life at this point. I mean, to be honest, not to be cold hearted, but you know how it is.
Well said. Rex?
I think this was a really smart move on HBO Max's point of view, like their side, really smart, because just like Caleb said, he's going to get HBO Max now. Like all these people are going to get HBO Max just because of this. So I think it was really smart on their part. Yeah, movie theaters have kind of been screwed lately, so it's tough. It's tough to say. I mean, they are getting vaccines and stuff, but it's going to be tough for them to bounce back. But I did like the direction that movie theaters were going. They were becoming more refined, and for me personally, I would just go to the ones that had the like most up-to-date like sound system or screens, because you couldn't get that at home. So that was kind of the draw for theaters lately, and I think they'll still be a part of society. Like it just makes sense. Like people are still going to want to go to movies and have that experience, but I think there probably won't be as many, and there'll probably be more refined maybe. But yeah, if people have the option, you're going to lose a percentage of
definitely
people.
Yeah, I mean, I very much agree with what Rex said. I mean, I think I would still, once this is all, the pandemic's all kind of over, I would still love to go to an Alamo Drafthouse and watch a movie, or go see a movie in IMAX that I've been really waiting to go see. Or, I mean, there are some really cool movie theaters, but I think for your average movie theater, or if you live in a small town that doesn't have an Alamo Drafthouse or an IMAX or an AMC that's just, been redone in the past couple of years, I don't see any reason why you would want to go to a movie, like just watch it in your home, because I mean, I don't think that, I mean, the only reason I think would be to go to one is to have that awesome experience of watching a movie in like a premium setting
with other people. That's the other thing. It's like you're in a group setting, so you kind of all appreciate it together.
Yep.
I've never heard of Alamo Drafthouse. What is that?
It's only the greatest movie theater of all time.
It's amazing. So they
54 beers on tap.
So they have very strict noise policies, and they serve you a full. It's like a restaurant and a movie theater. So you order your food during the movie, and they bring it to you. They have all sorts of like alcohol, and their food is amazing. And if you're talking or on your phone, they're super, super strict about that. So anytime there's a movie I'm really, really excited about going and seeing and like really want to enjoy, that's where I go. It's awesome.
So and shout out to Alamo Drafthouse, because here's the deal. Around, whenever the pandemic was, we were more ignorant, I would say, about it. Alamo Drafthouse did in fact open back up whenever it was quote unquote safe to go, and had very strict policies. Here's why we went. The Empire Strikes Back was playing in theaters. It's the first time it's played in theaters since the 90s. It's the first time that the film has been released. It's the remastered version of the film, basically. We went there. There was 8 other people in the theater, spread out, 6
Wow.
six seats apart. So, and they were sanitizing as they were going through and doing the whole thing. I haven't been back to movie theaters since, but I was happy to see like they were taking it super seriously, like the protocols and things like that. And I think that, they were like, well, we don't want to close, like movies. There's nothing like going to a movie. So,
Sure.
Rex, sorry, we kind of digressed from you. What, go ahead. Was that all pretty much everything you had to say?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me too, just to kind of wrap the story up, I live so far away from the movies that it has to be something pretty special for me to want to go. Like I went and saw Star Wars, I went and saw The Rise of Skywalker 4 times. And it was like, I got like, my heart was pumping every single time the crawl happened, and there's nothing like going to see a really awesome movie at the theater, especially on an IMAX screen. Is it going to hurt the industry, quote unquote, the film industry or not necessarily the film industry, but for movie theaters across the United States? Yes. Whenever things get back to a sense of normal, there will be movie theaters to go to. Like I feel like people are acting like movie theaters as a whole are going to be just wiped off wiped out of America. And maybe they would be for a time. But if things get back to a sense of normalcy and people are willing to go out and pay money to I think there's always going to be an audience for people to go spend money at the movie theater. But that might be a hot take. That's just my opinion. But do I see there being like less volume in terms of movie theaters? Yeah, I think we're going to see way less. You're going to see way less Alamo Drafthouses. You're not going to see the local movie theater. There will be no local movie theater. It'll be, the big guys. It's going to be the AMCs who have, umptillion backers, putting money. It'll be a chain of movie theaters. And I hope Alamo Drafthouse survives personally, because
Yeah, I think they're going to have to really sell the experience of going to the movies to make it special in order to
agree.
Make it work.
Just through what you just told me, I mean, kind of sells it for me.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a premium movie experience. And that's the thing is whenever the Alamo opened up here in Springfield, we don't go to the movies anywhere else unless it's IMAX. And even though I'm at an IMAX, I'm like, God, I'm freaking hungry. I wish I could order some food. I wish someone would bring me a refill and I didn't have to leave my seat, So yeah, I agree with what Caleb and Mikey is saying is if you sell that premium experience, those are the people that are still going to be around, I think, at the end of the day. But
That's what I said.
That's what you said? Well, we were all kind of skirting along,
Come on, bro.
Rex
No.
stole Rex's
Rex is
point.
preemptively just big brain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Rex is like, look, you just stole my thunder. But I was thinking, what was happening is I was thinking about what I was going to say while you were talking. So I really wasn't even listening to what you were
So
saying.
you weren't listening. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
I'm just-
So either way, it's, we're going to get these movies one way or the other. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Caleb, there's no need for you to go out and buy HBO Max because you can piggyback off of me and Emma.
Won't tell
'cause you're
them
in the
that, but thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So does anyone else have anything news related that they would like to share? I mean, at any point in time, briefly. Okay, good. Really quick, Mandalorian's on Fortnite, and you can in fact earn his Beskar armor. This season. That's what the whole point is, earning your armor pieces. So that's just a little side point that I'm kind of stoked about. Fortnite, FTW. You know what I mean?
It's still big.
Fortnite.
Very.
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest games on Rex. Just
Still?
leave. Yes.
It's
yeah,
still,
dude.
It's still nominated every year in Game Awards. If
you not-
if you're wondering.
Dude, last year,
I find it so boring.
a year, Rex.
Understandable. I got you.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break before we get into our review, so I can blow off some steam, and I gotta pee. So
Blow off some steam in Fortnite.
yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm gonna build these 90s so fast, Rick. All right.
Called cranking 90s.
Yeah,
Get with
cranking
the
90s.
times.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't speak your lingo. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. We are here. Recording. Yeah, we're doing the TikTok thing. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of the TikTok. Here we are. This is our new review for I wish I could say we're stopping here with X-Men, but that's not what's happening. Like, we're going to continue. We're reviewing the last X-Men movie. Well, I guess it's not technically the last one, but it is the third one. X-Men 3 The Last Stand.
Kinda.
Guys, I don't even want to talk about this movie. Like,
I'm excited.
Wait, why?
Are you a sympathizer too?
I don't think it's that terrible.
Thank you.
Dude, it's
bad.
It's bad. I mean,
It's bad.
It has bad parts.
It's bad.
there's a
You're bad.
okay.
Thank you.
It
I
could
love
have been a decent movie if Bryan Singer would have directed it. Just saying. But
I agree wholeheartedly.
the original guy who did the first X-Men movies, the first two.
What did I give the first X-Men movie?
I don't know. Who Rex?
Whatever it was, your wife definitely thinks that you rated it too high.
Yeah, shout out to Zoe. We've been calling her out on the podcast quite often.
I believe I gave it a 10.
I think you did too.
My favorite thing from podcasting recently is we did this podcast and Zoe was on, all of our wives were on, and Zoe goes on a rant about how we all rate things too high, and then Mikey is the next person to rate something, and he rates it way lower than anything he ever rates anything on this podcast.
Yeah, literally.
I think I rated one of the Fast and Furious movies like the lowest rating I've given. I
Yeah.
think I
Okay.
gave it like a 5.
I have the scores if you want them.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm actually curious. What did I give
Yeah, I'm
it?
curious too. What did we give the first two, Rex?
I think I
Okay.
gave it like a 7.
Gabe gave it a 9. Caleb gave it a 9. I gave it an 8, and Mikey gave it a 10.
Dude, it was so good. I love it.
Well, it is a good movie. Like,
It's
Yeah,
really
X2
good.
is a good movie.
Yeah, but
yeah,
a
it's a
10?
good movie.
No,
I
it
mean,
won.
yeah.
That was X1, wasn't it?
Yeah, X1. What about X2?
I think I gave that like an 8.
I think I have that on a separate one. Hold on, I gotta find it.
Keep them all together, you freaking noob. What are you doing? God, you were
Sorry.
fired. You were freaking fired from this freaking nonprofit podcast.
I didn't know he was hired.
I might have lost.
Rex, God, make a new file and make it the master thing so we can all. You know what? We're just gonna keep going. All right, you've disappointed me. You failed me for the last time. All right, here we go. So X-Men 3, X-Men United, I believe was released in 2006. Is that right?
United. What?
That's
I
what it's
found it.
called.
Like 2006 or it's X-Men: The Last Stand.
Last
Gabe.
Stand.
Yeah,
For
The Last Stand. Why do I
15th
keep it?
time.
Why do I keep calling it X-Men 2, X-Men United? I'm an idiot.
It's
The Last
3.
Stand. The
X-Men
Last Stand.
3.
X-Men
Not 2
3.
United. X-Men 3. Last
X-Men
Stand.
3, The Last Stand. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm trying to say. It's so bad
Right.
that I couldn't even remember the name. All right.
With a number.
Or the number. Yeah. It's the third. It's the third one. It's not the good one. Here, it's so bad. Like, all the good X-Men movies are on Disney Plus, except for that one. Like
It's
X3.
true. I had to
X3
rent
isn't
that.
on there.
That
I had
is
to rent
true.
it.
It just makes it worse when you actually have to pay for it, though.
Literally, I'm like,
Like,
I
I
could
had to
have bought
pay
it.
for this terrible movie.
It's like I could have bought a cheeseburger for this. You know what I mean? Like, McDonald's, sweet Mac Daniels has been running that 2 for $1, and this isn't sponsored. I've just been eating a lot of Mac Daniels lately. You go get a Big Mac and you get a quarter pounder and you get it for $1. So it's buy one get one for $1. But I digress.
Awesome.
Let's actually talk about the movie now. So, continuing the story, X-Men 2, X-Men United was X-Men 2. We found ourselves at the end of the movie where the mutants were saying, look, we're watching you. You know, we can be like really good allies if you would just, you know, do your thing. You got like this political intrigue going on. Jean Grey sacrificed herself to ensure the mutants, the rest of the X-Men could get away safely. And, you know, Alkali Lake basically crashed on her real hard from the dam there. And we saw a bird-like figure at the end of X-Men 2. You know, alluding to the Phoenix character that we were going to get in X-Men 3. The movie starts and we have our new we have Kitty Pryde, you know, doing her thing, being all invisible, and Iceman like being trained and whatnot. And Sentinels are, you know, at this point we really shouldn't know about Sentinels, but like they're going through like a danger room session, whatever, and Logan's just all nonchalant and doing his thing. And very quickly we realize that things are amok. Jean Grey is in fact not dead. So in an effort to try and basically get Jean Grey to come back to her senses of sorts, the professor tries to like kind of rekindle some memories and do some things, but the Phoenix is taking over. I guess it technically starts too with, you know, Eric and Charles going to visit her as a little girl. I want to talk about that for a second. Do we buy that at all? Like, does that work good or is that stupid? I just want to know.
Are you talking about the CGI or just about
just
the
that
premise?
the entire premise, the entire thing about it? Because I was watching that scene, I was like, this is so stupid.
No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it because at that point the main reason I don't buy it is because she's lifting cars in that scene, and like she has like full control of her powers, and she's like super strong. But then, like in the last two movies, she's like barely telekinetic, like can barely move things if she's like only really focusing, and like you don't get the sense that she's like super strong with her powers. Whereas as a kid, when she hasn't been trained at all, she's just like lifting cars and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. That doesn't add it up at all. That doesn't make any sense. Seems like a massive continuity error. And yeah, it's just weird. I mean, I like the idea of like Magneto and Professor X like working together, and like they're kind of friends, but they're also enemies. And I like that aspect of it, but it's all also just completely undone by the terrible de-aging technology of 2006 that has gotten so much better over the last 15 years.
I'm already getting
kind
so
of
pissed.
insane.
This CGI was bad in X2 and 1.
And not
No,
that
it
bad.
wasn't. Not that
Not
bad.
that bad. It was a lot more forgivable. Not when it's like they went out of their way to like do a scene to highlight this technology that looks terrible.
Literally, whenever they're doing like, Mikey, did you just freaking raise your hand? Just say it. Say what you have to say.
Professor X blocked her abilities, Caleb, so she couldn't use them.
Okay,
So
that's great. But when did they explain that? Did I miss that? Did they explain that?
When they went to go see her, they explained that he blocked her abilities when she was young.
Whenever they brought her back to the mansion, they were
That's why she was just now becoming to be like starting to be able to use her abilities. That's why it wasn't a continuity error. It was him trying to protect her from herself, basically.
Has he done that to any other?
Many
Okay.
mutants, yeah. That are at his school because he doesn't want them to hurt other people. Which is weird, though, because later on in First Class, he doesn't do that. But I can see where the confusion would be there.
Different timelines.
And
Kind of.
she's a class 5 mutant, right?
Shut up about the classic.
Highest tier.
Oh my god.
Highest,
So
most powerful.
stupid. This isn't a video game. Oh my god. You're the only mutants here above a class 4. It's like,
So is there
listen,
like a skill tree that as
Literally.
you're growing up, you can like
God.
level up and like, use your XP?
The only
So-
the only thing that I see with that is he can see everybody and can see their abilities. So if anybody's going to rank somebody, I kind of accept the fact that they would use Xavier to say that, oh, she's like the highest tier we can see of power. But I mean, I can see the problem with it at the same time, but I don't think that's a big deal for me.
it wasn't in any of the other movies. And it's
Yeah, that was going to be my thing. Is like
It
they
is
just brought this
stupid.
brand new thing, and I think that's just a normal thing that they do throughout this whole thing. Is they just like kind of it just doesn't have any like continuity with the other two movies. It's just like brought in like all of these other concepts, and it's like going and watching The Phantom Menace after watching Return of the Jedi. Like it's just like they start bringing in midichlorians and all this other stuff and like overcomplicating everything, and just like instead of capturing that magic that was there, they're just like, let's throw in a bunch of other stuff that we think is cool, but it's just going to burden it and like weigh it down to where it's just like this mess of a movie.
Okay. I didn't start this, but Gabe just said that it's not in any other movie except he loves the new trilogy, which has most of the stuff that's not in any other movie.
Of X-Men?
Yeah, dude. Like it's one line in this movie. Like that doesn't.
They bring it up multiple times in this
With
movie.
the level 5, they
with
only said
the
it like
class,
one
the whole
time.
class thing is stupid. That is so dumb. Like,
Oh my god.
They mentioned it like twice.
It's like a couple times, maybe twice. Yeah, like Rick said.
Once
It's
was
not
too
a big
much.
deal.
Once was too
Oh
much.
my god.
Once was too much. No, I'm just listen. I'm partly playing devil's advocate, but that did stick out in my mind as strange. You know what I mean? I am playing it up just a little bit. Here's the thing. Really fast. We've kind of we started like with the plot in the movie, and that whole first scene. I didn't really buy that either personally because it just felt very out of place. It's like, we get it. Jean's powerful. Like the Phoenix is powerful. Like we understand. It just felt
But
like
she's
too
not the
much.
Phoenix there, is she?
Yeah.
That's my thing is like they didn't go
Isn't
into
it
any.
in the
Not when she's a kid.
In a second, wait. In the comics, though, the Phoenix is like this celestial force, right?
Yes,
like,
Yeah,
the
it's like
Phoenix
an
from
Force.
outer space.
Yes.
It's not like some like thing like deep within her, right?
Exactly.
Like, where does it come from? Like all of a sudden, just like
It's
in this
so- I
movie,
mean,
it just pops up.
Dude,
Celestial.
it's like it unlocks at a certain point in someone's life. So like, like whenever the potential is supposed to be realized, then it unlocks. So to me, it's like, did it unlock whenever she was a little girl? That's my thing. Is like, if you're gonna bring the lore in, at least like give us some exposition. And they didn't. They just skirted on it. Like very quickly. Didn't give us anything. And Jean didn't do squat in this movie. Like in terms, it just didn't make any sense. Like she just doesn't fit. Why is she with Magneto? Why is she with the Brotherhood? That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. Like she should have killed Magneto if she killed Charles. Like, go ahead, Mikey. Go ahead.
Something that has always frustrated me with these movies is you have Wolverine, who, based off the first two movies, is basically the main character at this point. Why do you have to incorporate the Phoenix character, who only comic book readers at this time would even know what the heck it is? I mean, why not just capitalize on the fact like, oh, they're going to go into Wolverine's backstory and have the X-Men help him figure out what's going on. And
Which is what they were doing in the first two movies.
yes, exactly. And foreshadowing, totally just skip X-Men Origins, but just figure out that story and then later do that. And I don't know. Maybe because they were trying to just force everything to be in a trilogy. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we're talking in turn.
like,
we're
yeah.
talking about like this was the generation of trilogies. Yeah, you got Lord of the Rings, you got Star Wars. It's like, oh, X-Men needs one because it's the
Just
big blockbuster right now.
different.
Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Caleb.
Be different.
No, here's my thing. It's really weird about this trilogy and the way it ends. One of the things that's like you relate to X-Men is Sentinels. And they even hint at Sentinels in this movie. One of my favorite parts of this movie is that like scene where they're all fighting and they throw Logan into like nothingness and he like decapitates a Sentinel and like throws it back down. And if you're in the theater and watching that, and like, oh, we're getting Sentinels. And then like it's like game over and they walk out of the simulation and it's like, wait, so how did they know the Sentinels are going to be a thing anyways? Where did that come from? And then we never get any explanation or even any hints towards Sentinels later. Like, what?
They never
and we
knew
don't
that
get,
they were
we
going to
don't
do that. Yes.
Yeah, and we don't even get anything about Sentinels until Days of Future Past, which is probably the best X-Men movie.
1000% is the best X-Men movie.
Rex
Go
has
ahead,
his
Rex.
hand up.
Go ahead, Rex. I see him.
Okay, well, I don't know the lore and the background. I've never read the comic books, so
Shame on you.
like I didn't know any of that stuff. So, I mean, I get where you guys are coming from. If you're coming from that aspect of there being plot holes and not explaining things that are already well known in the comics, like I get that would make a hardcore fan upset for sure.
Thank you for saying that. Here's the thing. This is the Batman and Robin of anything Marvel. Like easily. This is it. Well, this and X-Men Origins Wolverine. There's just so much that they hint at that we get no payoff for. It's like, that's the biggest tease ever. Like, they didn't know they were going to make Days of Future Past. You know what I mean? Days of Future Past came out in 2014. Like, if I recall correctly, you know what I mean? Here's, okay, really fast. as I say things, and I know I asked about the initial scene about if it works for everybody. Mikey, does it work for you? Apparently it does. Does it?
Does what work for me?
The beginning scene where they go visit Jean Grey. Do you buy that?
I mean, to be honest, I've been watching all these movies, and I'm actually deeper into this series than I think you guys are. In order of release is how I've been watching them, and after watching several of these, it really does. I feel like after you guys get deeper into this series, you'll be like, that if you take them all as a whole, and instead of just making it a trilogy and making it an actual series of movies, it kind of does make sense. I mean, because it's not so much that it made sense at the time, but they really tied up loose ends as they went. So I feel like this is a better movie as a whole with the series rather than just the trilogy. But if you're just taking this as just from a trilogy standpoint, it's horrible, because they just throw in stuff that they just think anybody will love.
So wait a
I
second.
mean, it
By
sounds
that
like
logic-
the rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
It's
Shut up,
basically that, yeah. But it just
You
it
did not
depends
just
on what
compare. Did you just freaking compare this to Rise of Skywalker?
I mean, it's
That's
trash.
what it is.
So
That's
yeah.
what you're saying.
let's not. But no, what you're saying, Mikey, is that they messed up so much with this movie that they then had to spend the next like 5 movies to try to correct what they had done in this movie, right? Because when they made this movie, this was coming out as a third in a trilogy of movies, and they were working.
Yeah.
So in time, no, this movie was bad until 14 years later, after they had made a bunch of other movies, they had been able to somewhat correct the problem.
I went and saw this movie. Whenever I was in when did this we say come out? 2006?
2006, yeah.
I was in 7th grade, and I came out of the movie theater whenever I was in 7th grade and was like, my God, that was awful. Like, Kelsey Grammer as Beast. Well, I heard you Logan. You
didn't like that?
No.
What? Dude,
He was
I
actually
love
probably my
Kelsey
favorite
Grammer.
character too.
I love him as Beast. I think he's great as an older Beast. Yeah.
I legitimately thought he was my favorite. He was my favorite part of this movie. Actually.
It was fine until he started fighting, and it was you could totally tell everything was being wired, and he was all, yeah, and doing just over.
I found it besides Wolverine, I find him very intimidating as in that character, as an older, more aggressive.
I would straight up put him down, 12 gauge, right to the face, boom. You know what I mean? Man, that's a big old blue boy. Get my picture, Stan. Boom. You know what I mean?
Same squatch.
God. Oh yeah. Oh my God, it's Bigfoot.
No. I enjoy him. I like him. To be honest, the Frasier thing threw me off at first. Yeah. I really enjoyed him personally.
The diplomatic side of him, I liked seeing him more being the government side of things than rather, than seeing him fight. Whenever they show up at the end on Alcatraz, basically, which made no sense. Yeah. Whenever they show up on Alcatraz, and Logan's just and here's another thing, we've been focusing on Wolverine / Logan this entire time, the first 2 movies. Now all of a sudden he just takes a back seat, and it becomes about the mutant movement. You know what I mean? And that whole narrative. Yeah. So he just kind of takes a back seat, and it's I just kind of care less about Logan and Jean. You know what I mean? And the whole Jean being oh, kill me, save me, kill me. It's dude, it's just so cringy. It's so cringy to me. And I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but it just felt off. And here's another thing. One more thing, really fast before I throw it to someone else. Whenever they're having the mental, the psychic, duel, basically, and basically she overpowers the professor. My guy shatters like glass.
Dust. Thanosism right out.
Is that what they were going for? Because it looked like glass to me.
It looked like dust to me. I thought he was all.
Yeah, it looked like deterioration.
Yeah, he got snapped right out of existence.
I want you guys just keep talking. I gotta go pee again. You know, I know I already took a break, but I already have to pee, and I'm still recovering from that Rise of Skywalker comment. So just keep going. You know, just keep doing your thing, and I'll join back in. Mikey, go ahead.
Rex, I feel like we're on the same wavelength on this one. Is it just me, or was the whole Logan having to kill the Phoenix / Jean Grey not as bad as people think it was? I thought it was kind of emotional and actually kind of touching, even though they're totally building off something that was not there to begin with relationship-wise. I still was like, that's really sad because that's the first person he connected with coming out of.
No, I didn't actually expect that. I forgot about that scene, honestly, and I wasn't expecting it, really. So it did catch me off guard, and I felt a little bit, you know. It wasn't like the most touching scene ever or sad scene ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, you feel it, you know?
For sure. I feel like Caleb is going to have a hot take on that one, though. What do you think?
I just didn't think it was very memorable.
I knew it.
I didn't have any emotional thing. By that part of the movie, I'm just so done with it that I'm just ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, can we end this already? Like, at this point, we've been fighting on Alcatraz for forever. You, instead of taking a boat like a normal person, stealing a cruise ship and sailing it over there, you take a whole bridge
Literally
unnecessarily over there.
Oh my God. I mean, it was kind of like Ian McKellen does sell it in that moment. He's all
True.
No, it's a cool shot.
Yeah,
it's really cool. But I mean, why? It's so unnecessary. And then you're just allowing like the military to have a bridge to come and fight you. Like on the it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Yeah. Also, when they show up on that bridge and like all of the guys are just like running for cover and stuff, and they have these plastic guns, and Magneto doesn't even know they're plastic, and like he sends all of the people in. Why doesn't one of those military people like shoot more than 20 yards at Magneto and just end it right then and there? Like, what in the world is happening here? What kind of stupid fight is this?
Why are they holding fire? Why are they holding? Whenever Logan shows, now we'll hold this line. It's like, no, like charge hard. Like you guys are here. I agree. Caleb, you just literally, you took the words out of my mouth, and I was gone peeing for God knows how long. And yeah, I mean, I know it's make-believe. I know it's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie.
It's make-believe. There are parts of it that are fun. Like there are parts of it that are fun, but there's just like so much. Like, okay, you're telling me my guy Magneto, my guy can sense metal in a fat bodyguard or, a fat security guard's blood, but he can't sense that all of the guns on Alcatraz are all plastic. That's what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't.
Hey, bro, that's why you send the pawns in first,
right?
Oh my God. Okay.
I do feel like they were really trying to capitalize on that whole like chess thing that we've kind of seen like in the last couple of movies, and then they're like, we're just gonna throw all of the chess at you in this movie with like this different terms and nods to it, and then at the end where Magneto's like trying like barely moves the metal chess piece. Also, what was the U.S. government thinking just letting him walk? What, he gets stabbed and turned into a human being, and after he's like killed countless people, they're just like, oh yeah, you're good, go play chess in the park.
I think he's still hiding. I don't think he's like. I don't think they just let him walk, because I mean he obviously.
How did he get out of there? How did he get out of there?
It was a Brooklyn Bridge.
He walked
and
across
they killed
the
everybody.
bridge, right? You're not telling me there's a bunch of cops on the other side of the stupid bridge that he had to walk across to get there?
Hey, yo,
I mean, they are New York cops. I mean, they live in New York.
Oh, shots fired.
Except for that was in San Francisco. It was the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, yeah,
that is true.
Still, shots fired at the San Francisco Police Department.
No, I mean, dude, it's a freaking superhero movie.
Oh, my God. I just thought of another one. We were in New York area before.
Oh my God, thank you. I was going to bring this out too. They teleport throughout this entire movie.
Literally.
Everywhere.
Oh my God. Okay, it's just, I can't even think about that. It's like, weren't we just in upstate New York? Like, Good job. I mean, how fast did that jet go? Okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep dumping on it.
How fast is that
Caleb.
motorcycle that they're always riding?
I mean,
Caleb-
it does have NOS.
Caleb, Rex and Mikey like this movie. Okay.
I know. I'm
I
sorry.
didn't say
I'm
I
sorry.
liked
We
it.
just need to,
I just don't
just.
think. I think it's.
I
hated
didn't
on
say
both
like I
sides.
loved it or anything.
And then we
I'll-
forgot to. I mean,
I'll shut up.
no, we forgot to ask the question. Do we like this movie? Yes or no? Caleb, go ahead. You can't shut up. You're the co-host. So
No.
he said it right into the microphone. He goes, no. Caleb, go for it. Or not Caleb, Mikey, go for it.
Oh, I want Rex to go before me. I'm curious.
Rex, go ahead.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay. I was looking
It's a
for more of
movie.
a. I was looking for more of a yes or a no, so that we can fight about it. But I mean, that'll work, I guess. Mikey,
I'm feeling that happy medium.
you think it's
question mark.
okay? You think
Yes?
it's okay?
Question mark. Yeah.
Okay. This for me falls into the how I used to feel about Phantom Menace thing. Except this just has very little redeeming qualities, in my opinion. That have not aged well. And this movie is so bad that it had to be retconned like 6 years later. So to me, it's a no. I don't like this movie. Even though there is cool stuff that happens in it. Like, even though there is cool stuff that happens in this movie, the only reason I will ever watch this movie again is if my kid comes to me and is like, Dad, want to watch X3? And I'm going to be like, stop being stupid. But yes, I'll watch it with you. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to beat my kid. That's just that's what I'm trying to say. It's not good. It's very low. It is very low tier. I mean, it's worse than Spider-Man 3 for me. Like I would rather watch Spider-Man 3 personally.
At least Spider-Man 3 is easier to laugh at than this movie. Like this movie is actually kind of hard to laugh at almost.
I feel you guys. Like I feel where you're coming from, Gabe. And I can't wait till we do Star Wars because that's exactly how I feel about the new trilogy of Star Wars.
I'm gonna change your mind in some way, shape, or form. Like you're gonna have to hear my argument.
Right.
So now let's change gears. Let's talk about what we did like about the movie. We've spent however long crapping on it. What do we like about this movie? Rex, let's go ahead and start with you.
What do we like about this movie? I feel like what you said about there being there's like cool stuff in it. Like there's cool scenes and cool things that happen. The action and stuff was pretty good. It honestly felt like a crappier version of the first two to me.
Like
It just
dollar
felt-
store X-Men.
Yeah, like a little bit watered down. The plot got a little worse, and it felt like we've kind of seen this plot already in the past two movies. So I totally get where you guys are coming from, but to me it still had the feeling of it had a similar feeling of the last two. It's X-Men, there's mutants, they're doing stuff, there's some cool scenes, and yeah, that's about it.
I think it was kind of interesting how they were trying to kind of lean into the plot point of Storm being the one who eventually takes over the school, because that's what happens in the comics. Storm becomes the professor once the professor is gone. In a bunch of stories, that's what happens. It's kind of like the Batman getting his back broken by Bane thing. Like no matter how many times the story changes, like that's kind of like a legacy thing, is that Storm takes over the school basically. But I feel like whenever you take a formula that worked really well, it's like, the professor is involved. Like no matter what, the professor is involved throughout the first two movies, and like he's helping the X-Men find their way. When you take that component away after it's been there for a while, it doesn't work as well for me. in a lot of ways. But I will say, even though I thought the shattering pieces, the glass pieces, that happens during that telekinetic fight, that whole sequence, the part where they're like fighting in the yard, that's stupid to me. But that whole sequence, like when he's floating and like you can visibly see like really how strong Phoenix is, and like Logan's trying to make his way in there, you know what I mean, and do the thing. That and the music did hit like kind of nostalgia for me, and I did really enjoy the music, especially in that scene. Like you see Logan, I kind of put myself in Logan's shoes, and I see he's experiencing these things, and for whatever reason, in those just brief moments, that particular thing landed for me. But yeah, other than that, there isn't a ton of things where I'm like, oh yeah, that was cool. The best parts have Wolverine in it, in my opinion. The best parts about this movie were what I liked the first two movies for, is that we were getting Logan's backstory, which is what everyone wants really anyways. And I don't like how they tried to make Jean Grey, who was the most boring character ever in the first two movies, they tried to make her the focal point of the story in the third one. And here I am trying to say positive things about it, but I can't.
I see where you guys are coming from for sure. I did like the portrayal of Juggernaut, like the way he looked.
Oh, he was hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm the Juggernaut, Trick. And like, just, oh, by the way, Elliot Page. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ellen, or no longer Ellen Page, but Elliot Page, the person who plays Kitty Pryde, has announced that they are in fact transgender. So there you go. Don't call them Ellen Page again. It's Elliot Page.
Who?
Kitty Pryde.
I actually liked her character too.
Is that
Yeah,
Juno?
the girl. Yeah, Juno, the girl who can one. Well, I mean, she's not a girl anymore. She's a boy now. Elliot Page. Just so you know.
Moving on.
Mikey.
No, I liked her. Do I say her or his character?
Yeah. That's kind of. I'm kind of confused on what I think it is his. So there you go. Yeah, that whole interaction with the Juggernaut, like, that was kind of funny to me, honestly. Like, I also here's another thing that I really like about the movie. I think The Cure is a really, really cool idea, personally. Not like the band, but The Cure of the movie, and like where the fact that it comes from a mutant. I think that's
so confused.
I think that's a really cool idea, personally. Yeah. But it just became too, like, I don't know. I don't know if political is the right word, and that's another thing too with the political side of stuff. Kelsey Grammer is literally like the ambassador for mutants. He's like speaking for mutant kind, and he's like, oh, like the prime minister, not the prime minister, but the old guy in charge. He was like, we've developed a cure, like it's gonna be great. And Kelsey Grammer should have been like, no, like, why? Do you realize that, like, there's going to be, like, bad? This is bad. Magneto's out there, right? Like, it's, I don't know. Like, I think The Cure could have been a really cool, The Cure in the movie, not the band, like I said before. Could have been a really good idea, but I just don't think it was executed as well as it could have been.
I feel like that's why they brought him into this movie, because not so much the fighting scene that you seem to have a problem with, Gabe, but more for that, the politics and the acting scenes that he's in, where he has to speak for the mutants. I think he did a good job in that, but I don't know. It could have been better, but yeah.
By the way, we're talking about things we liked about the movie, just so you know. So it's your turn, by the way.
It seemed like you didn't like it about that, even though if that was supposed to be a plus.
It's just so bad,
Oh my God.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I like that personally, but has everybody gone but me?
No, I'm going to throw it to you since you were the one that was talking.
Oh, okay. Well, things I liked. I mean, I liked a lot about this movie. I definitely disliked about this movie, but I feel like I've been defending it more than I've been saying the things that I liked.
Moving on.
There you go. Give me a minute.
Your answer.
Caleb, if you want to go ahead, you can.
Yeah,
while
do
Mike
that.
While Mike
give me a sec.
Yeah, sure. No, look, I've been hating on this movie basically the entire podcast, but there are some things I like. I do think that scene where they go back to Jean Grey's house, and both Magneto and the X-Men are all there, and I like that scene. I think it's probably the best scene, the scene that most works, even though it climaxes with Professor X getting dusted, which is sad. I think that
Don't let it control
guy.
you.
yeah, I think that scene works the best for the movie. Like I said earlier, I do like the scene where they're fighting the Sentinel and he throws the Sentinel's head back, and it's kind of like this big reveal, except for then it's not, because then it's just so that like takes you out of it immediately, which is just really sad. Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, Wolverine's fine, I guess. He's just kind of there, which is, and that in itself is sad, because you have a character as iconic as that.
He is. Mikey's
kind of-
making faces. He
Yeah.
is just kind of there. What?
Yeah, he's kind of there until he needs to
He-
like save the day, and then
I mean, he has a pretty real. I mean, I really enjoyed his scenes that he had in the woods. Like that felt like
when he's just fighting the dude with the horns in his hands. Like,
I mean, that
like,
feels
come
like
on, like
that feels like Wolverine to me. I mean,
It was
yeah, except for
cool.
Wolverine.
I dug
Wolverine
that.
should be done with that guy in about 2 seconds, not having a huge scene with him. Like,
I mean, it's also I see what you're saying, where it is Wolverine, but I mean, it's also a movie, and he's also been trained by Magneto to be as lethal as possible.
yeah, and Wolverine is literal Weapon X. So,
Well, he
let's
doesn't
move
know
on.
that though. He had his brain wiped, so he's technically not Weapon X anymore
Mikey,
at this point. But just saying.
Mikey loves to play devil's advocate. He loves. That's great because Mikey loves pushing Caleb's buttons, and it makes me so happy. Like I just see dollar signs. Like if we ever get famous, you know what I mean? People are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, Caleb and Mikey, you just need to have it out." I think in a lot of ways the forest scene needed to be shorter, in my opinion, because he shows up, he sees Jean, goes to talk to her, and Magneto's like, "Yes, you are." Boom, done. It's like, okay. So we know Magneto is going somewhere, and now it's at Wolverine's expense. I think my biggest problem with Wolverine is that it ended up taking such a big back seat when the precedent hasn't been that the past 2 movies. It's like they were setting us up. They were setting us up to continue Wolverine's story. Like that's what it felt like. And of course we get that later in different movies, Wolverine-based movies.
Oof.
I mean, the Wolverine's pretty dope. Like
It's good.
It's better-
Definitely better than this
it's
movie.
better than X-Men Origins, and it's definitely better than this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, is there anything? Okay, so Caleb, you said your positive things. Mikey, is there anything positive that you have to say about this movie?
Other than that Wolverine scene, I do like what Caleb was saying. I do appreciate the kind of touchy-feely sort of way they're trying to get you to feel when Professor X passes away, and Magneto's all, "Oh, my friend, my best friend," you know. I enjoyed that, you know. But other than that, I mean, they're really grasping for straws in this movie, and I see where you guys are like, yeah, this is a bad movie, but I mean, it's also like, you got to think of the times, man. I mean, you can't blame CGI at all in this movie for being bad. It's the early 2000s. It's not going to be good, you know?
Yeah.
But I
don't
still
bl-
see where you're coming from, though.
I don't blame. My question is like, where's Bryan Singer?
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand that. I still don't understand that. Like,
Maybe, I
where's
don't
Bryan
know.
Singer?
There had to be something like outside of the actual business side of it. Maybe, I don't know. Family or
Caleb,
something.
go
I
ahead.
do.
You have your hand raised.
No, I do think that there is there's a lot to that question. So
Yeah.
we probably can't cover it in the way it should be in this podcast. But
Yeah.
I thought of another thing that I do like, and it's when they break out Mystique, and then they leave her there after she gets shot.
Oh,
was
yeah.
Like it was messed up, but I liked that.
Right.
It was that was a cool little sequence.
Yeah, definitely shows Magneto's character, which I appreciate that, because he is like all for the mutants, and if you're not a mutant, he does not care, which is
Yeah,
cold. That
I
is
think
cold.
one thing I do like about this movie too is that this is canon in the movie universe, and they use this as a launching point for their next movies.
For
Like
sure.
First Class, you feel like, okay, these are younger versions of the same characters, and I don't feel like we would have as a complete a story without this movie. It's just a shame that there's so many little things that I don't like about it.
Yeah.
For me, Wolverine totally sells it in this movie. Like, especially when he has to kill Jean. Like,
Yeah.
I wish we would have had more of that back and forth in the movie. You know what I mean? And like had more build up to that. His performance is awesome. I just don't buy that like, it kind of feels like he loved Jean Grey more than she loved him in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And it's like, I don't know.
I think me and Rex talked about that a little bit while you were gone, but we both really enjoyed that. At least I did. I think Rex enjoyed it too, but yeah, we touched on that.
Is there anything else positive we want to say about this movie before we move on to rating it? I'm spent. I'm spent I'm done saying anything negative. I've said all my negatives and I've said all my positives realistically. I think all my other points have been covered. So
the flame boy, whatever the heck his role was in this movie,
Pyro.
He needs to be just gone.
I mean, his role was to freaking get his butt kicked by Iceman.
It was
which was
the
dope.
worst. Iceman and Pyro, get him out of there. Personally,
See, I liked Iceman.
Oof, dude, no.
Like that whole back and forth. Well, they spent so much time on that dynamic in the second movie. Like that's one of the things
so
that felt
forced, though. I hate
to me,
it.
Maybe it felt forced because everything else was so bad, and it was like,
I don't know. I don't care about Pyro. I don't care about Iceman in these movies or in later movies. I'm like, I don't care. I genuinely don't care about your character. He has nothing to do with anything that I care about. Sorry.
Rex.
I feel like Rogue's character had a bit more of an appropriate role in this movie. Like it made more sense.
I can see that. Yeah.
It was actually cool to get her to see her use her powers in the way that she should probably be using her powers.
Yeah. Once for 2 seconds, and then she's like, "Oh, Bobby, I want the cure. Like, I want to be able to touch my boyfriend."
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It's like,
dude,
and like literally, like
I could have done without her getting the cure.
Yeah, that's the thing is we started this movie with Rogue and Logan, and then just slowly moved away from it. It's like, God, that was cool. I liked that, but I like how we did get some interaction between Logan and Rogue, and he's like, "Look, I'm not your father." He's like, "Just do what you want, whatever. Like, be happy." You know what I mean? So, let's rate this bad boy. Rex, we're gonna throw it to you, Rex.
Okay, I also found the X2 ratings.
Thank God.
Mikey and me both gave it an 8, and Caleb gave it a 9.5, and Gabe gave it an 8.5. So that's where we're at.
All right,
like that, Zoe.
Yeah, in your face, Zoe.
But yeah, so for this movie, I'm definitely gonna go with a 6. I think it was just kind of average, just an okay movie. Had I known more about the lore and the background of X-Men, I probably would have hated on it a lot more, probably. But I do think what Caleb mentioned about that scene where Dr. X, gets dusted is probably the best scene in the movie and kind of like the high point of the movie. It kind of takes away a little bit from the overall plot and the end of the movie, I think. So, yeah, just a 6 for me.
Mikey?
I agree with Rex. I feel like it almost feels like there's 2 endings in this movie where Professor X dies and then the bridge battle. It's like, where were you guys planning on ending the story? But I want to give it a 7, but I feel like a 6.5 is a more fair score because I do enjoy this movie, but there is some definite pitfalls that I think they did, like you said earlier, Gabe, they kind of clean up in the later films, which doesn't make it okay in this movie, So I feel like a 6.5 is a fair score, which doesn't make it an awful movie, but it's definitely not the best in the series for sure.
Okay. Well said. Caleb?
Yeah, so real quick, we did not mention a couple of things. I wish Nightcrawler had been in this movie.
Thank you.
He's one of my favorite parts of X2, and he's not in
Yeah.
this for some inexplicable reason. We did not mention Angel and his stupid story, or the way he just kind of
Yeah.
comes out of nowhere to
Forgot
save
about
the
that.
day at one
That
point.
was sad.
Yeah, it really is.
That part at the beginning where he's a kid and he's like trying to shave off his
That's
wings,
rough.
and that is rough. But then after that, it's like, God, why is this in this movie?
Dude, the way he puffs his chest out after he stands off like the rack. Could you imagine being on set and just without the wings?
Just,
And the music too.
Yeah, dude.
oh God.
So
Oh man, there's one other stupid thing I was gonna mention. Oh yeah, so I think that's the thing with this movie, and the ultimate problem with it is there's so many little things in here where you can see that the director Brett Ratner and the producers and the studio were all sitting in a boardroom, and they were like, all right, so we just made these 2 movies, Bryan Singer, they're both really good, people really liked them. We're going to make this 3rd movie, but we don't really know where to go with it. We kind of hinted in the Phoenix in the last movie, and then like someone was just like, well, I have an idea. And then another person's like, well, I have an idea, and I have an idea, and I have an idea. And they just are jotting them all down on a piece of paper. And then they're like, all right, let's just put it all in there and mesh it in together. And then they give it to some writer, and they're like, all right, figure out a way to put this all in there together.
And he goes,
And what you get is this, it's like this total like weird like casserole of a movie. It's just like does not like really make any sense. It's not enjoyable.
casserole.
It's just rough. And for that reason, I think this is the lowest score I've ever given a movie on the Wannabe Critic. So I'm giving it a 4.
Thank you, Zoe
Whoa.
Collins.
That is okay. Yeah, there you go, Zoe. That kind of evens it out for you. You have 1. And thank you, Caleb. Like, Caleb, I consider you actually, like, realistically, you're probably the most critical one on the show. Low key, sleeper critical one.
So why do I have that nickname? Question mark.
Because I know it just, like it just sounded good. You know what I mean? Like,
Drive.
the first time you
Drive.
came on, you were like, yeah, I didn't watch it, man. I gave it a 2. Like, the few times you came on the show, and I was like, all right, Mikey, you're getting the nickname. Literally, Caleb took the words out of my mouth. There is too much going on in this movie for it to even be remotely consistent with the other movies. That you can tell where they tried, but it ends up feeling like dollar store ripoff versions of the premium tier that we got in the first 2 movies, if you could call those first 2 movies premium tier. There was so much going on here that it's like, okay, RIP to Scott Summers. Like, they just killed him immediately. He could have been useful. He would have been really interesting to keep around in the movie. God forbid he killed Gene, but we got to have sympathy for Logan, so that doesn't make any sense. There's just a lot that doesn't sit well with this movie. There's a few cool parts. There's too many moving parts for me. Like, I just feel like it's constantly moving and doesn't have... It's like taking a bunch of half-baked ideas and just throwing it in there. It's like, oh, yeah, forget it. Like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. We're going to make millions. Like, that's what it felt like to me. So for that, that being said, this sounds like a weird thing. I'm glad this movie exists so that it can be retconned. And it's like, oh, good. Thank God that never happened. You know what I mean? But if those future movies never existed, then this movie for me is going to be at a 5. I think it just exists. It's just there, and it's a shame that this has to have. It's a shame that this movie has to be affiliated with the first 2 movies in any way, shape, or form. So there's that.
It's better if you don't recognize it at all.
Yep.
What makes this movie sad for me is I do enjoy it, but I feel like all the inconsistencies and different timelines that Fox has had to make over the years is because of this movie. If they would have made a coherent 3rd film, they wouldn't have had to do all this cleanup and weird like timeline, like mix up stuff,
Yeah. It's because of this movie and X-Men Origins Wolverine.
For sure. Yeah.
Those 2 movies, they kind of just like
shot themselves in the foot.
They shot themselves in the foot, and they spent the next decade trying to fix it all.
Yeah,
That's how
which
you got
ended up,
X-Men.
which ended up being fine. The new movies, and I can't wait to get to the next one.
surprisingly, yeah.
So Rex gave it a 6. Final point, Rex. We got to wrap this bad boy up.
Oh, I just wanted to let you guys know the IMDb rating is 6.7 out of 10.
Oh, I was the closest. What the heck?
Okay, well, thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. I'm just kidding, gentlemen. Rex gave it a 6.5. Mikey gave it a 6.
I gave it a 6.5. Rex gave it a 6.
Rex
What
gave
are
it a
you
6.
drinking? Can I have some?
Yeah, well, I have to pee really bad, so I can't really.
Oh, got it.
Caleb gave it a 4, and I gave it a 5. So low scores all around. Decent scores from Rex and Mikey. So there you go.
And I'm
Rex?
surprised I gave it the highest score. That's
Do
great.
you have a bladder infection, Gabe?
I've been drinking. I've had some beer, and I've had some water, and I've had some Dr. Pepper, and it's just been, I don't think I have a bladder infection. I think I just, have you ever heard of breaking the seal? Apparently that's a thing. Like
For
He
women.
has a UTI.
I don't think I have a UTI. It doesn't hurt when I go to the bathroom. Like look, we're wrapping this thing up. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. You know where to find us. We've said it a million times at Wannabe Critic Productions, at the Wannabe Critic, whatever. It's where you can get a hold of us, but it's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Caleb, Rex, Mikey, thank you for giving your time to watch this movie. I know that's 2 hours of your life you're never gonna get back. I apologize.
And $4.
Next time. Yeah. Wait, how long?
$4. He said.
Oh yeah, and $4. I owe you all a cheeseburger at this point.
How
Sorry about that.
long?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we will be watching X-Men Origins Wolverine next in our review of the X-Men saga. And then following that will be X-Men following that will be X-Men First Class, then Days of Future Past. Then we'll be watching the Wolverine to top it all off. We're not going to get into Apocalypse because it's horrible. And then I haven't even heard nothing but bad things. I mean, here's the thing. If we really want to, if we're not too X-Men'd out, we can do Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. But we'll just have to see what happens.
I haven't seen the Dark Phoenix yet.
I haven't either. I've heard nothing but bad things. I heard it's literally just a repeat. I've heard it's a repeat of X-Men: The Last Stand. Like that's what I've heard. That it is
Really?
the exact same thing. Exact same.
Caleb's
plot.
down.
So we'll see what happens.
Why not? I'm ready to get hurt again.
Yeah, literally. I'm ready to waste $4 and 3 hours of my time. We have a lot of things planned. We just had a little group texty sesh, not too long ago, about the upcoming series that we're going to be doing on the Wannabe Critic podcast. And I think you're really going to like it. Personally, literally, no cap. We have the entire next year planned out, pretty much. So it's going to be great. You're going to be getting, we're going to be covering movies. We're going to be covering TV shows. You got Nostalgia Trip. You got The Office. You got The Midnight Run. I mean, it is a full slate over here on the Wannabe Critic podcast, and I cannot wait to show you future projects that we're working on. You know what I mean? We announced The Outer Rimmers, the RPG podcast that we are working on, and it's going good. I'm really excited to see how it's going, and I can't wait to show you that as well. So make sure you check out my personal YouTube channel as well as the music reviews and all that stuff. We're going to have all that stuff linked down in the description down below, and there'll be all kinds of links you can check out. We have Nostalgia Trip merch now, by the way. You can order a Nostalgia Trip hoodie. Well, Nostalgia Trip has been a real big hit, on the Wannabe Critic podcast, more than I expected, to be honest. Not because the content wasn't good, but just because I didn't know there was that many girls out there that wanted to hear about, and guys and girls that wanted to hear about, the childhood rooms that our wives had whenever they were kids. So there's that. But anyways, that wraps it up today for our episode of the Wannabe Critic podcast. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time once again. And thank you as the listener for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. We will see you next time. Say goodbye, and I'll concede Coke is better.